Calvin Hill, what a classic guy, a neat friend, and he's waiting for the NFL for an expansion team back in Baltimore since my Hoosier friends in Indy stole their team.
Well, there's some people in St. Louis that have something to say about that also, Chris.
First shot, second game, Pete Weber. All right, he had 6 strikes in his 203 to 182 victory over Ferraro. Now, let's get to know a little bit more about 33-year-old Curtis Odom. His best finish, second in the PBA Showboat, 1989. He's overdue.
And he's got his work cut out for him. He is definitely the underdog in this match with Weber 1 victory under his belt.
Having a 2, 5, and 8.
Curtis with a very ideal style, 4-step delivery. Not much of a push away, but he sets his arm in perfect position. Solid pivot step, low to the line. Was a little over the top of that one, causing the ball to slide by and lead the 2-5-8. A very difficult split to start with. 300 game this week, 2 times.
Our tournament leader, we pointed out earlier, Bob Learn, has the American Bowling Congress record of sanctioned 300 games, 43. Curtis says he's had 14.
14. See how Curtis Odom plays the championship pair. It's a pretty standard player, so he'll be playing in what he call a normal position, right about the center of the approach. He has a very nice, solid approach. He'll be playing the ball out between the first and second arrows, medium hook.
Leading the 10 pin. He's 5'9", 163 pounds, played football in high school. He wrestled, Bo, like you.
Looks like he would be an excellent wrestler. He's a great all-around athlete and one of the most personable players you have out on the tour here. Even after he bowled his 300 games Thursday night in his final game, he stayed around to coach some of the fans afterwards. Very nice gesture.
Attended Livingston College. Last year earned nearly $48,000. 2 fourths and 2 fifths last year in his 4 television appearances. Pete Weber. Powerful, powerful strike. Root of the Loom Boxing Series. Hit.
That was a bad shot by Pete Weber. He just pulled it. And this is the toughest split in the sport of bowling. The 4-6-7. I'll say common split. Many people think it's a 7-10, but this one's the toughest. Weber will just go for 2 pins. And the reason that's a little bit easier, 7-10's a little bit easier, Chris, is you can bounce the 10 pin out of the 7, as we've seen Mark Roth and John Mazza do in the championship round before. But the 4-6-7-10 has to be slid across. It's very difficult to knock them all out. Now let's see if Curtis Odom can take advantage of that open of Weber's.
Of course, that shot followed his own open as he is left a 2 in sleeper 8.
Let's reset the championship pair. 15 and 16 here at Fair Lanes, a 48-lane center. And the right-hand lane, lane 16, is much slicker or much tighter than the left-hand lane. Curtis Odom has been light both times on the right-hand lane, a little high on the left-hand lane. He needs to make the adjustment and make a match with Pete Weber.
Okay.
There's a key shot for Curtis coming up the left-hand lane, hooking a little bit more. He left the 10 pin there. Get this lane zeroed in, Curtis, then work on the right-hand lane, and he'll be right in the match.
Pete's last title, his 18th, came last year. The United States Open, his 2nd. He can stay calm and not let his anger get the best of him. He can win 100 tournaments.
One time, baby, one time. Yes.
Now, Mike Curtis Odom. And that was a big one-time strike for him. 5-pin lead by Curtis Odom, the underdog. We'll be back. That's where we'll be next Saturday. We're in a full house here, Fairlanes Woodlawn, for the 23rd Fairlanes Open that we've been doing in our 31st year of PBA telecasts. And here's Pete Weber. Got a little upset earlier. He doesn't like the trail. He has this shot in the 4th frame after an open on the right lane. So he responded as great champions do after an error, coming back with a beautiful strike. Our 1992 money leaders, last week's winner with 40,000, Bruce Hamilton, Mark McDowell, Harry Sullins, Alan Bishop, and our all-time money winners, you see Pete became the 4th millionaire, Holman, Roth, and Anthony, and Albany being number 5. Take the lead. He now leads by 5 pins here in Baltimore, Bo. Replaying that strike, and it is beautiful. Pete's shots like that are flush. Whew. Now Curtis Odom had that lead, but he can regain it now. He's shooting in the 5th frame. That strike up. He uses about almost a yard less of the approach than Pete. What a seesaw battle. Seesaw battle here in Baltimore, Bo.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. And it looks like both players are zeroed in. And Dave D'Entremont, you'll be in the semifinal game. What did you think of the championship pair before, in practice?
Well, everybody was hitting pretty frequently in practice, but it looks like it started to move around a little bit out there. And first match was a little lower scoring than I thought it might be. So I'm just going to try and go out, make good shots, be aggressive, and just see what happens.
You think the scores will pick up by your match?
I hope so.
All right, Dave. He's pretty confident. Good luck.
Hit. Yes. Curtis Odom now answering the challenge of Pete Weber. Both professionals with doubles. Now Curtis has 3 in a row. Can Pete match that 15-pin deficit? Or Weber can cut it to 5. He's on the right lane. What a wonderful battle between Odom and Weber, Bo.
Well, Chris, obviously I like the good scoring, but I also like the oil pattern they have on the lanes this week. That longer oil allows the player to have maybe a little pull area, and he has a little more confidence. When you give a top pro bowler the luxury of, say, hey, I can pull it a little bit or turn a little bit too hard, they're going to cut it loose. Now let's see how Weber's playing the lanes. He's standing here. Now he'll drift to the left. He'll start a shot out in here. So Weber goes left, then back right. Right now he could take the lead with 1 more strike.
So the leads continue to change here in our 2nd match between Curtis Odom of Winston-Salem, Pete Weber of Florissant, Missouri. And here's the man who'll be handing out the $31,000 check at the end of our action today, Steve Carley, president of Fairlanes, and his pretty wife, Lois.
Now the match, Curtis Odom up in the 7th frame can retake the lead with a 4th consecutive strike.
Only the 2-pin.
Chip.
He was a regional professional in 1988. He earned $26,810. That's really unheard of. But on the regular tour, he cashed in 3 out of 4 events. Thanks to the American Bowling Congress, Curtis Odom's bowling talent stretches beyond the Pro Tour as a performer.
Well, at the American Bowling Congress headquarters, they get so many requests to do state functions such as Hall of Fame inductions and banquets. They decided to get the Ambassadors program started. There are 9 professionals, and we go promote bowling for the American Bowling Congress.
Okay. Lots of contributors out here on tour. Trailing by 6, nailing that strike. On the left lane, Curtis Odom of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Writes music lyrics. Hopes to get a few things published. The poet of the Professional Bowlers Tour, Curtis Odom. Triple Crown winner, Pete Weber. What courage he has to hang that ball out there.
Chris Weber is probably the most confident young player I've ever seen. As you see him up here on the right-hand lane, he's starting the ball out to almost the edge, drives all 10 pins in the pocket, a perfect shot. And right now, he has a 16-pin lead over Curtis Odom, possibly the highest scoring game we've had all year. Weber, if he takes it off the sheet, as they say, with 4 more strikes, would be 262. Odom, a possible 246. The match is still up for grabs, 9th frame.
Football. Running that one out. About 3 pairs of lanes.
The solid 10. If Weber carries this, he can determine his own destiny, but he leaves the solid 10. The best he can shoot is 241 with conversion. Curtis Odom will come up in the 9th and 10th frames with a chance to shut out Weber.
All right. A long, hard look at that 10-pin. Pete Weber won his first match against Dave Ferraro, 203 to 182.
Curtis knows what's at stake. One of the best bowlers, our greatest bowlers that ever bowl on the tour, is his opponent. With 3 strikes, he can shut him out and go on to the semifinal.
Cut it to 5 with a strike.
1. God,
4 pin has been a problem for all of you, hasn't it, over the years?
It has been, Chris, and he was saying to himself, that was a big shot. I wanted it. The match is not over, but that was an important strike right there. He can still bowl 226.
This procedure completed now. Started bowling when he was 13, joining a summer league a little bit later on.
Curtis Odom in a must-strike situation. If he strikes out, he will have 226 and force Weber to get a good count and mark.
Wow.
6-10 for Curtis Odom.
Now Weber, looking at the scoreboard, once again, the infamous ballot ball, which he was the beneficiary of last year. He's thinking about, should I try one on the outside edge? That's why he's scoring the, that's why he's checking the scoreboard.
Nice spare shot.
Okay, you heard what he said. Frustrating for him because in 1990, he was 3rd at Wichita, 3rd at the Showboat, 1991, 4th in El Paso, 5th in Seattle, 4th in Denver, 5th at the True Value.
Odom's with strike will be 214.
Thank you.
That sets up the exact situation that Del Ballard Jr. and Weber had last year. Ballard needed 7 on his final ball to lock up the tournament. Right now, Weber needs 7 on this shot to lock up the match. Let's see if he flirts with the outside edge.
All right, Pete Weber has won his 2nd match. Bo's tip this week includes Larry Lichstein, giving us about more effective bowling balls and why. So let's give a look and a listen.